Alright guys and girls, welcome to another episode of Astral Auto Repairs. Can you dig it? Alright, check it out. Today's part 7 of this 1977 Buick LeSabre with the 5.7. We're changing all the gaskets on this, and we got down to doing the rear main seal. We had a problem, so we decided we was going to take out the crank to change the seal. The problem was, once we started removing that crank, dang it, what the heck, itching me in my back. We found a problem with one of the main bearings. Whew, man, it's a good thing we found that, came across that problem before this engine was back in this car, because that could have caused some problems. So today, we got the new crank. Yeah, buddy. Wait. Yeah, buddy. So we're going to be installing that today, right here on Astral Auto Repairs. This channel is a member of the Astral Stars, which means we have a zero-tolerance policy against the harassment of others. Anybody who violates that policy will be banned. For further information, please visit www.theastralstars.com. Alright guys, here we go. Last we left off, we had this thing covered up, man. Don't want to get no dirt in here. Check this out. We put the bearing caps back up there. We're going to mark those off a little bit better. And check this out. Look at this. When we was doing it, look at all that silicone inside there. And this looks like teeth from the old timing chain. So luckily, I mean, without even saying anything, the customer said, you know what, you down there, change that oil pump as well. So we got a brand new oil pump and we got a brand new screen right here. This is going to be a nice job when we're done. Alright, so the first thing we do, I'm going to get a rag, because remember we put marks here, but they like blue and they like wearing off here. So I want them more pronounced. So we're going to get a rag, wipe off all the main bearing caps, take up this oil pump, and it's only, I should put some gloves on. It's only held on by these two bolts right here, and then the shaft will come out with it. And let's get this oil pump off. Let's get us a piece of cardboard to set this stuff down on. Alright, we'll be right back. Alright guys, I took our oil pump out, and I got it set up here on our cabinet. And I marked our caps. Now the last one, I don't have to mark. I mean, if I get that confused, man, something I got no business being in this kind of business. Alright, so you know what? Yeah, let's get all these caps off of here. He's got the shaft full of drive shaft for the distributor. There we go. Alright, let's set this on the side up here. And then we're gonna set all those up in order. And then we gotta take off this chain to do that, but we're not gonna do that yet. The next thing I'm gonna do is, after I get these set off to the side, what I'm going to do, let's go around this way. We got 12-point nuts here holding on the connecting rods. So what I'm going to have to do is, and that's 9/16, I'm going to loosen all those up. And some of them I'm going to have to turn the crank just a little bit so I can get those caps off. And what I'm going to do, you know what guys, what I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to mark these in order as they go, so we don't get those confused as well. Alright, so let's take these off, the main bearing caps off, and then mark all the connecting rod caps. Alright, we'll be right back. Alright guys, I got them all marked up. Now, guys, I don't know, something's bothering me here. And I don't know, it may not be, no, maybe it might not be nothing. But you notice how, you see how this rod bearing cap, see how it goes around here, and see that little indentation sticking out right here? Alright, and you notice how it's facing towards the back, towards the front of the engine. Right? But this one is facing towards the back of the engine. This one's going to the front. Maybe it means nothing. This one's going to the back. This one's going to the back. This one's going to the back. We got two of them. Let me see. 1, 2. 2 of them is facing towards the front, and the rest of them is facing towards the back. I'm not sure if that's going to mean anything. It might not mean anything, but I'm about to find out, because that's weird. Maybe it might not be nothing. I know how it's supposed to go together, so I'll definitely know when I take this apart. So let's get these marked up first, and then I'm gonna start loosening all these up. All right, we'll be right back. All right, got all our caps off, and you know sometimes these things are stuck like this. So what I like to do is get me a little hammer and just tap them. And you can tap them. Usually you can tap them loose. Now, let me set this camera. Can I get one of them out at least? Dang it. Hold on, guys. Let me set this camera up. Alright. What I'm going to try is a little vice grips trick. Hey, can you see that? Yeah. Alright. Okay, there's one. This is one of the ones that's facing to the front, and the rest of them is facing to the back. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, it's set right. It's definitely set right. Alright, so let's take this one and put it to the side. That's number 5. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the rest of them. Be right back. Alright guys, we got all the caps out. Man, this is looking lovely. Now, when you take this off, we're going to have a bunch of, here's that main bearing that was messed up. Look at that mess. All these bearings, you got to make sure none drops down into the inside of the pistons. Let's see here. Take these off. Yeah, we got a bunch of them here. Yeah, these bearings right here. Take them off, and one just dropped down in there. So you got to make sure all these are out. Now I'm not gonna throw them away yet. I'm just gonna count them all, put them out, and I'm gonna count them to make sure I got all of them before I throw them all out. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is, before we really get down into moving this crank out of here, is we gotta take off our timing chain again. Now what I'm gonna do, the water pump is mounted to the timing cover, but it is held on by little bolts. So I'm gonna leave those in there, and the bolts I'm gonna take out, it's gonna be to the timing cover itself. So I'm gonna take the whole assembly off. Thing, I gotta get this thing. Oh, that's all. It's going. Ain't no clamp there. Why did I put a clamp up there? Ain't Billy Bob, man. All right, so we're gonna take those out, take our cover off, and we're gonna have to get a new timing cover gasket, because that's all gonna be ruined. Take the timing chain off, and then we'll be ready to pull this crank out of here. We'll be right back.
Alright you guys, now what we about to do now is pick up our crank. So we're gonna carefully pick this thing up, get it out. As you see, I have my little pry bar. I'm gonna stick it right here up under this lip and in between our motor stand, and then I just pry it out.
Alright, and I'm gonna have one, I'm recording, and I'm gonna hold this end and pick it up. This is a big crank, man. And we're gonna walk this to the back of the truck. Let's pick it up.
Just like that.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, we got our truck set up here, put a little cardboard up here. This is a core.
Watch your hand. I got me. Alright.
No, set it the long ways, man, because we gotta get the new one up here. No, okay, good enough. Yeah, boy, he hard-headed. I did the long way. I meant the long ways that way.
Well, you didn't tell me that way. You just said set it the long way.
All right, guys, let's go get our new crank so we can match it up, and we'll be right back.
All right, you guys. Before we get that crank put in, or we'll go get it, you want to make sure you get all the main bearings. Can you see that? Right there.
Yeah, see it.
All right, you want to get all your main bearings.
Can you see it?
And
guys, now you can sometimes pop these out, but sometimes you might have to use a little screwdriver. But be very careful, don't scar the block.
And you want to get all of your rod bearings. And when you do that, we'll get them, put them here, put all my main bearings and rod bearings here. So later on we can make a count, make sure we got everything out of that block. You definitely want to get all your rod bearings and main bearings out, because you put your other crank in, and it's in there, you're in a world of trouble.
All right, and also here's our rods, our rod caps. As you can see, we got them all numbered, and the main bearing caps all numbered, so we can know exactly where they go, starting from the front of the engine, working all the way to the back. Now we go over here and look at Blue Box, and he carefully tapping that main bearing out of there.
See how that thing just slides? It's so simple. Comes right out.
Take that out, because you do not want to damage this in any kind of way. All right, let's get all our main bearing caps, main bearings out, and our connecting rod bearings. And you see how this one down here? So we want to make sure we get all that out of there. Nothing left in the block. All right, and then we're gonna do a count together. Be right back.
All right, you guys. As you see, I'm taking out my last one. But if you so happens to drop a bearing on the inside of the block, don't whine about it. Don't worry about it. You can easily get it out with a magnet, or just stick your hand in it and get it out. So, we're taking this last one off. I'm gonna set this to a side so we can count those, and we'll be right back.
Okay, well, you get those together. Also, there might be some main bearings in the main bearing caps up under there. So you might be still some in there. Get those out. While you did no setup to count those, I'm gonna show them over here with the new crankshaft. Matter of fact, yeah, come over here, you bum.
See, and you still whining.
I ain't whining nothing. That ain't my job, man. I don't whine. All right, so Bill Black gonna take off the top. Oh man, what you pulling it for? Don't break it. We gotta put that back in there.
I'm gonna put that back in there, man.
No, you don't break it. There, you pick it up.
Man, it's all right. It's all right.
Man, see this guy, man?
Man, we
all right, wait a minute. Wait, stop. What? Stop, man. All right, I ain't taking nothing out. All right, guys, here's our main bearings. Here's our rod bearings, or these are gonna be the one of them. I ain't taking nothing out. There's our crank. Look at that, man. That thing is nice. Make sure it's the same thing. And we have matched this up by the casting number. The casting number on there, so we made sure we matched up and we got the same one. Now, here, open up this box, man. Stop playing around. Why you keep playing around?
Oh.
Take it out the box!
Nah, I was listening for something.
The ambulance.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, check that out. There's our new rod bearings, and so I guess in there gonna be our main bearings. So let's go back over here. And matter of fact, good thing I saw that. It would have been like, where's that other bearing at? We got another bearing up there on the old crank, and we got to return this. This is a $100 core charge right here, so we got to return that. So let's go over here. We're going to count our main bearings and rod bearings, make sure we got everything up. And then we're going to prepare our block and the connecting rods to accept the new crank. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Billy Bob's over there getting the bearings all together so he can count them. And while he's doing that, remember, our original problem with this is we couldn't get that rear main sealing. Look at it. We just squished that thing in there like crazy. Pull this out of here. We got a new one. So this is garbage. And what I'm going to start doing is, you see the old oil pan gasket that's up there? I'm going to start scraping that off. Now, very important that when I start scraping this off, I am going to scrape this away from inside here so I can not get anything inside of here. So I'm going to start scraping that out this way. And then we got our timing cover off. We're gonna sit here and take this off and clean that up before we get everything together. Also, I'm gonna get a lot of carburetor cleaner on, and we gotta clean up where these caps set at and everything. All right, be right back. All right, guys, before I start, just in case, I got me some rags that's gonna catch anything. And what I'm gonna do here is take me a scraper and as soon as I get a start on this, I'm definitely trying to knock it out. I'm trying to get the big pieces up. And then this right here we can clean up a little bit later. But these big chunks I want to get out away from the engine. So this is going to take a little, this is a little time consuming right here, but it's got to be done. All right, let's get all this off and we'll be right back. All right, guys, while Billy Bob over here milking this job and trying to get every little bit off. All right, move, man. Get out the way, let me show him. What we're going to do is clean this up real good, and then we're going to take the rag off, and then we're going to clean off, which is very important. This part is very important. You got to make sure, see right here, there's oil inside here. All this has got to be clean. I mean dry clean. On the inside of the rods and the mains. We're going to clean that up, scruff that up with a scouring pad. That's a plastic one. We're not going to use metal or anything, because we don't know shavings down there. And then we're ready to set our main bearings, well, one half of the main bearings, and the connecting rod bearings. So as you, okay, you can put that back, man. You finish milking that job. You know. All right, and here's our, because he didn't even tell us what count he got. He just left it alone.
10 and 16.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 rod, connecting rod bearing connecting rod bearings. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 main bearings. So we are complete. We got the set out here. We don't have to worry about none of those is in the block. All right, we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got the outside cleaned up, the front cleaned up with a timing cover. Now we're gonna take off our rag and pass me that one of those green scouring pads right there. No, man, no, it ain't nothing in there. It ain't nothing in there. Get out of here.
Man, I'm looking at it, man.
I'm so hard-headed. Dang it.
What's that?
You don't need that for that. Because, see, that's what I'm about to show them. This right here. Now, for this next step, guys, what you're going to do is first we're going to get some carburetor cleaner. Get some carburetor cleaner. And you got a lot of oil over here. So we're going to clean all this, spray it up good, and then we're going to clean it with this. We're going to spray it with carburetor cleaner, and then we're going to scuff it with this. To make sure it's nice and clean, especially in this channel right here, because this channel right here, that's where the rear main seal seats. So we're gonna clean all the main bearings up, the main carriers, and the connecting rods. All right, so we're gonna get that done. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we got this cleaned up. This guy's, I gotta clean this up better because this guy don't know how to clean it up better. All right, so while I clean this up better, get over here, damn it. What Billy Bob is going to do is now clean the end caps up. The same way. You got to clean it up, get all that oil out of there, especially over there, because it's got to set right. Alright, so clean that up, and we'll be right back. Alright, guys, we are now ready to set in our bearings into the block. And what you want to do is make sure you have a nice clean rag and clean this off. This side, the bearing is going to set into these journals. Those have to be absolutely dry and clean. Don't lubricate it with oil or anything, or you are going to mess this up. Grease goes on the inside of the bearings, not on the outside. Alright, so let's get one and find out. Here's our new bearings over here, and we got our new rear main seal here also. Now, if you notice on your main bearings, see if we can see inside there, get a good lighting in. You notice how the top one has no oil port hole in it whatsoever, but underneath the other ones do. And these two in the back, these big wide ones, you know they go way in the back. So how do we know which one goes which? Simple. Let's look at the block. And we see oil galleries, oil ports. This is where oil flows through. Each of those. So we know each of those down will have one of the holes going to it. And we go over here to the main bearings, main bearing caps. You can see the indentation right there where one bearing cap with a hole in it. But this one, you don't see no indentation right there. But the rest of them, you do. And of course, we got that one over there we don't care about. So out of these four, this one don't. So we pick this up, and we got a number 1. So we know that's on number 1. So let me open up these main bearings, and I'm gonna show you how we set those in. But first, I'm gonna make sure this is all clean. To see that between there, we gotta make sure all of that is cleaned out. We gotta make sure those bearings, no kind of grease or oil will be on it, or will mess this engine up. And it might take a while, but it will mess it up. Alright, be right back. Alright, I got it open, and as you can see, here's the first one with nothing in it, no oil port, and we have the other ones. That's great, and this is perfect. Alright, so what we're going to do is go over here. I'm going to show you how this sets in here. Let's go to number 1. You got that little tang right there. That tang goes right up against there. Make sure it's in. Push it into place. You want to try to make sure it's flush right there. And you can see that's where the oil is going to shoot right out. Perfect. This one is definitely lined up. Alright, let's get the other ones in, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, I also forgot to tell you, out of there, you have these two over here. Notice how they're different. These are considered thrust washers right here, so the crank doesn't slide back and forth. It's very important where this goes. That one goes in the center of everything. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one goes right into the third one right here. And actually, you'll be able to see it. Like, see how this one is thin right there on the wall? And this one, it's got a stick right there. You can see how it's cut out. It's made for that bearing. So you want to make sure that one goes right there. Alright, let's get these set in. Then I'll be right back. Alright guys, we got the 5 main bearings in. That look good. That looks real good. Yeah, buddy. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up our connecting rods like that and set our the rod bearings in. And when I pick it up, as you can see a little oil in there. We're definitely going to be wiping that off. Make sure that is dry and clean. Alright, let's get that done, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, look at that. Man, that's looking good. Everything is looking fabulous. Alright, the next thing, this part is very important. You just don't want to throw in your crank because you will mess that up when you go to turn it, because this thing will have no oil in it. So what you want to do is take you some lithium, white lithium grease. You want to take some, dab it on your hand, on your finger, and you want to lubricate the inside of each main bearing and rod bearing. Just a thin coat, just like that. So when this engine starts up, it's not starting up dry. It's going to have that lubrication right between there. That's going to be great. Alright, let's get all of them done. And if you got anything on the end right there, you're just going to wipe that off. Just like that. Alright, let's get them all done. And then we'll move on to the next step. We'll be back. Alright guys, I got all the connecting rods done and 1/2 of the main bearings. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our bearings and we're going to start setting them up into here. And remember, number 1 goes right there with nothing on it. And what we have to do is wipe this off, make sure this is flush. Make sure there's no dirt on the end of those. And what we're going to do is get a little wire brush or something to clean out inside there. That's where the rear main seal sets at. And speaking of the rear main seal, before we set our crank in, we're going to take 1/2 of the rope, the rear main seal, and we're going to set that in the block. So, for this side, what we're going to do, get our bearings in, put some lithium grease on the inside, and then we'll be ready. We'll be right back. All right, check it out. All right, check it out. I got 1/2 of the rear main seal into place, and you can tell, see how thick it looks up there and then small down there? That's because you got to work that, you got to squeeze them in and work that down into place. You just can't let that, just set it down there and expect not to, just to let the crank do it. You got to work that in there. And it doesn't matter if you can see how there's a lot more sticking up here than it is right here. It does not matter, because once we put that crank down in there and start torquing that crank down, not the end cap though, we're gonna cut that off level with the block. But I'm not gonna do that yet until we actually put that crank in there. Let that crank squeeze that seal down in there. This is coming out great, guys. Now, putting this crank in, you definitely, if you're doing one of these engines, you're definitely going to have 2 people doing this, because as you're lowering that crank down, you got to pick up the rods and make sure that it's going down around the journals as well, and slowly lowering it down until it gets into place. All right, Billy Bob's still setting up those over there. He's almost done, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got this. Next thing we're gonna go grab the crank and set it down. Wait. Let me stop it. We're gonna take it out of the plastic first, and then come back. Right back. All right, guys, we got it. Now we're gonna start lowering it down. One hand is gonna lower it down, while the other hand picks up the rods. Hold it, go up. Okay. Hold it. Go up.
This one right here. My 2. Yep.
Yeah, but they ain't got to worry about it, because it was up here. You gonna go down?
Something is keeping me.
Where's the other one over here? There it is. Alright, this one is.
There you go. Alright, I'm down.
Huh?
I'm down.
Twist it. Alright, now that we got it down, we're not done yet. What we're gonna do is we gotta take the ones that's way down, take them and bring that piston up. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Bring the piston up without messing that bearing up, so it can meet that crank.
You just went there and turned that thing.
Okay.
What's your finger?
Turn that. There we go.
I was trying to figure out what was taking you so long.
What you mean? What? How is my work affecting you?
Cause
Ain't got no.
your hand was in the way of me, so I ain't want to smash your fingers.
All right, guys, we got them all the way up. Right here.
Yeah, should have a new one over there somewhere. Yeah.
What's up?
twist it. All right. Oh yeah. Yeah, all of them.
All of them are
good.
up, and you can see our rear main seal right there, still in place. That is great. All right, guys. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our lithium grease inside of here, and we're gonna start putting them on the rods, so we can make sure they don't stay in the they don't move out of the way or anything. And all our whoops, what the heck, man? This thing just zoom in, zoom out. There we go. All right, make sure all our main bearings stayed in place. Rod bearings are still in place. This one can come up a little bit. There we go. This one can come up a little bit. You can come up a little bit more. Very good. Alright, so let's get that done and we'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm gonna sit here and we got number 1 right here. Now, setting these down. See that little tang right there? That's gotta match up to that tang down there. It's got to be on the same side. So what I'm going to do here is put that on just like that, and it's got 2
nuts,
12.9/16 nuts, and we're just gonna put them in there. And we're not going to torque these down. What we're just going to do is take the ratchet, the 3/8 drive ratchet, and we're just going to bring them down just till it stops. Just so when we spin the crank, if we have to, it won't move that bearing. Alright, so we're going to get all those done, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, look at that. All of them are numbered. 1, 2, down to 8. We just got it just snugged up just to keep the bearings in place. That is great. The next thing we're going to do is get the main bearing caps and set them on. Start off from the center one. Now you remember, this is the one with the thrust washer, so you got to make sure that you put the cap with the thrust washer bearing up there in the same location. And again, this one we're not going to put on yet. We're going to torque these down, torque the connecting rods down, and then we're going to trim this off. Alright, so let's get that done and we'll be right back. Alright, we got them set into place, and they're numbered. And the next thing we're going to do is take our ratchet, and what we're going to do is just bring them down just till they stop. Then we're going to torque these down. Now these are some torque, guys. The number 1 through 4 is going to be 80 foot-pounds. The one back here, check this out, that's going to be 120 foot-pounds. That's a lot of torque. But that's what we got to do. So we're going to torque these down, the 4, and then we're going to torque down the connecting rod bolts, which is a measly little 42 foot-pounds. Alright, so let's get that done, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, we got those snug down. Now I'm torquing them down to 80 foot-pounds. This is going to be great right here. And I'm going to start from number 3, the center one. 80 foot-pounds, man. This thing got to be super tight. Cool. All right, I'm gonna get the other 3 done, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got those set up, done. Now the next thing we're gonna do is the ones we can get at. We might have to put the bolt in the crank to our, and also. Hold that right there. Also, see the keyway right there? The keyway do not come with the new one, so you want to make sure you take that out. And you do got it out over here. Now the rod bearing, the connecting rods are torqued down to 42 foot-pounds. So we're going to set our torque wrench up to 42. Look at that grease come out of there, man. That's perfect, man. This is coming out great, man. I like this job, man. And then we'll be right back. Alright guys, let me see where the socket at. So we're gonna do here. Matter of fact, what I'm gonna do, just so we don't get it confused, we're gonna start right from the first one and work our way down. And remember, 42 foot-pounds. And I'm gonna just bring them down till they snug up. I think this one is.
It's not all the way on there. There you go.
Okay, now we're gonna work our way down. Now, like this one right here, how it's down there, we might have to move the crank just a little bit, but that's okay. So we're gonna get the rest of them done, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, everything is torqued down. Guys, this part is very important. Billy Bob missed this part. Make sure when you torque this down, when you torque this crank down, when you're torquing the crank down, you start from the center to work your way back. When you tightening up the connecting rods, very important. For 2 reasons. 1, you go from first to back. Do not skip because you may miss. Second of all, you want to make sure these pistons are not twisting, the rods are not turning, anything. When you go offset, definitely start from one end, whether from the front or the back, but just make sure you start from one end and work your way to the next. All right, last but not least, now we're down to the rear main seal. Everything is down there, and what you want to do is take a nice razor blade and you want to go ahead and cut this off even with the block. And that might get me something else because this just ain't happening right here. Well, I'm glad they changed this design. Okay. I need me an X-Acto knife. Antoine, what's an what's an X-Acto knife?
Yeah, like he don't hear you talking to him. Oh, he's gone. That's fine.
Dang it. I'm gonna cut that off flush with the block.
As long as it takes you, might well take a pair of dikes and take it off.
If I wanted your opinion, man,
If you had to cut me, I wouldn't be worried about nothing.
in a minute, man, I am gonna cut you.
That thing be too dull to cut by then. You steady cutting on the metal and everything else. Cut that thing, man. Cut it!
You know, I am so glad they got rid of this design. Perfect. Alright guys, now I'm going to do the other side and we'll be right back. Alright guys, now we got our end cap. What we're going to do is take our new seal. You notice how one end is flat, you know. And what we got to do is set this down there. Squeeze it. And we got to work this thing down into that groove. we got to make sure that you work this down there as much as you can. And then, lucky for us, we got the old crank that, if I had to, but I'm not going to do it because I got the bearing up there, we can push it down onto that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to sit here and work this thing down because we have to trim this off. And if we have this seal up and go to torque this down, that crank is going to push that seal down, then there's going to be a gap left up here. So we got to make sure we have as much of this down as possible. And once I do this, I'm not going to cut it flush with the cap. I'm going to cut it, it's going to be just a tad bit up. So when we push it down, it goes into place. And as you can see, this is working its way in perfectly down in there. All right, so let's get that done, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got that off. Let me just make sure all this is cleaned up. Now, let's set this down. Okay. Let's get out 2 bolts. And I'm going to bring this down by hand. I'll be right back. All right, guys. 120 foot-pounds. Let's get this thing. What I want to do is make sure that goes down evenly.
Body.
Oh man, that thing move.
Let me
Make sure this one, cause that thing feel like it was. Woo, there we go. Man, that's tight. That is tight. All right, guys, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna clean all this off right here. But before we do that, before I forget, our shaft for the distributor goes in there. Alright, we're going to clean this off to get ready for our new oil pump, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, there you have it, the end of part 7. This engine is coming along great. On the next episode, we're going to be doing the oil pump and putting this thing back together, the front timing cover. We got to get a new timing cover gasket, and we got to pressure wash the engine again, and then we're going to get ready to paint this thing. I'm going to love that. Yeah, check out the color that's coming up. Alright, you have any kind of comments or questions, be sure to put them in the comments section below, or you can email me direct to tim@astralautorepairs.com. Guys, girls, this is Timmy and Billy Bob from Astral Auto Repairs. If we can't repair it, nobody can. We'll see you next time.